The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
A mom and dad are murdered while hiking with their children at Devil's Den in Arkansas. A manhunt for the killer is now over, and tonight, new details surrounding this accused murderer and the heroic actions of these parents to save their children. Meanwhile, in Tennessee, the manhunt continues for a killer accused of wiping out a family while sparing a baby's life. What is this fugitive's connection to the family that was slaughtered? Tonight, brand new details. But first, prosecutors called it an attempted honor killing, but the jury didn't buy it. Fatima Ali was attacked by her father, all of it caught on camera, and the jury found him not guilty of attempted murder, but guilty of lesser charges. Meanwhile, Fatima's mother was also acquitted of every serious charge and was released from jail last night. And tonight, her attorney joins us live for an inside look at the Ali family and everything the jury did not hear about.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And it was the so-called attempted honor killing of Fatima Ali, this teenage girl. But as we watched the trial and we heard the evidence, it really seemed like it was more of a domestic situation, right? Parents and a teenage daughter. Things obviously escalated, things obviously got violent. We saw the video. But at its core, what was really going on here? And that's what the jury had to figure out, and the jury spoke very loudly. You're talking about a mom and a dad here who are handed a situation where there is conflict. You know, what they want her teenage daughter to do and what she's doing is not in sync. Extremely common across the country. Extremely common when you have teenage children. And there seemingly are always issues, whether it's school, whether it's drugs, whether it's who they're dating, whatever it is, it happens all the time. And sometimes things escalate. And here they escalated to what we saw in the video. Law enforcement is involved and turned into attempted murder charges, but not just against the father, against Fatima's mother. I watched the video. What did she do in the video? I couldn't tell. I didn't see. But she was found not guilty. So with her being found not guilty, the reason is clear, right? Prosecutors have a burden of proof. They didn't meet the burden. They didn't have the proof that she was part of anything in an attempt to take the life of her daughter. Now, she didn't testify, and she didn't have to testify because the proof wasn't there. The evidence wasn't there. I mean, I've been a prosecutor. I know what that burden is. It's a big burden. You just can't kind of say, yeah, she was there, she did it. No, you've got to prove it with evidence that's going to compel all the jurors unanimously to believe that this was an attempted murder. It didn't happen in this case. So now the question is, now what? Now what? What happens to this family? How did they even get here? How do they move forward? Do they move forward? Is Fatima on her own now? What exactly is going on, and how did it end up the way it ended up as attempted murder charges, which were rejected by the jury in this case? Okay, talk about mom. Of the two, of mom and dad, mom clearly was much more emotional than the father. The father was very stoic throughout everything. We saw the anger in the video, but in court, extremely stoic. At the scene, when police respond, very stoic. But I want you to take a look at Zara Ali, Fatima's mother, at the scene.
Get up. Okay, we're gonna walk to my car over here, okay? Hang on tight.
When
your husband assaults a spouse, he has to be held. He's going to be.
He did not assault no one. This is my daughter. No, he didn't. I have proof. I was recording everything. No.
Hey, so. Okay, I'm going to make this clear, right? So.
I didn't talk with her. I didn't talk with her. Yeah, give me what to talk with her.
I'll have her give you a call.
Yeah, I didn't talk with her.
Okay. So, hey, so Mom, do you remember we talked about that you cannot be on Thurston Timberline property? Okay.
Now, when I watched that video, what do I said this in the beginning, a family imploding on that day in broad daylight, in public. Law enforcement is there. People are arrested. We know how it ended up in this trial. But you see the emotion from Mom. I want you to take a look now during the verdict. Even during the verdict, you could tell she is psychologically in a much different place than her husband, and was emotional at the moment that she's finding out if she's going to be found guilty of attempted murder or not.
We, the jury, find the defendant Zara Ali not guilty of the crime of attempted murder in the second degree as charged in count 1. We, the jury, having found the defendant not guilty of the crime of assault in the first degree as charged, or being unable to unanimously agree as to that charge, find the defendant Zara Ali guilty of the lesser crime of assault in the second degree. We, the jury, find the defendant Zara Ali guilty of the crime of unlawful imprisonment as charged in count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant Zara Ali guilty of the crime of assault in the fourth degree as charged in count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant Zara Ali not guilty of the crime of attempted murder in the second degree as charged in count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant Zara Ali not guilty of the crime of assault in the second degree as charged in count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant Zara Ali not guilty of the crime of unlawful imprisonment as charged in count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant Zara Ali not guilty of the crime of burglary in the second degree as charged in count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant Zara Ali guilty of the crime of violation of a court order as charged in count 5.
Now, after being found not guilty of the least of the charges, time served, she's already been locked up for quite some time. At that moment, had an opportunity to speak with Zara Ali after being released from jail.
Zara, if you could say anything to your daughter Fatima, what would you say to her right now?
I hope she come back in the home. I hope that. I love her. Really, I love her. I need she come back in home. Sooner I need to come back.
Yeah. Have you spoken to your husband, Isan?
My husband also.
How's he feeling?
I pray for him. Maybe he get out sooner.
Yeah.
He get out sooner.
So what's next for you?
Me?
Yeah.
Me? Really, my family is easy, you know. My husband, he go job. I'm take care of my kids. I don't have anything. I stay like in U.S. I come in like 30 years. I don't have anything trouble. Mm-hmm. I do everything, all what they need. But I don't know, my daughter, she like, you know, teenager.
Yeah. What's the first thing you're gonna do when you get home?
I'll go eat my food. One tea. I miss my food.
Mm-hmm.
My kids.
Yeah. Do you plan to call your sister?
Yes, my sister.
Yeah.
My husband.
Yeah.
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 Thank you.
And right now I'm joined by Zara Ali's attorney, Tim Leary, who won this trial. Tim, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you about the family. What are your thoughts about the future of this family? Was this family destroyed by what happened that day? Can this family put the pieces back together? What are your thoughts there about how this is going to play out for them?
I mean, it certainly was a dark chapter that day, and what the future holds, I think, is to be determined. Right now, they can't have contact with Fatima. She is in extended foster care, and what the future holds is, you know, time will tell. There's so much damage that was done on so many levels to so many people here, and, you know, to see my client's first words coming out of jail is her expressing her love for her daughter. It's powerful. You know, blood is thicker than water. And, you know, there was a lot going on that led up to this. And it is not easy being a teenager. It's not easy being the parents of a teenager. And, you know, I hope that the right thing happens moving forward, whatever that may be.
You know, I look at the case here, and I look at what happened with the family, and I look at the charges, attempted murder. There was a lot at stake here. I mean, a whole lot at stake. Why do you think it was attempted murder, and how did the concept of the honor killing end up in these police reports? Like, what was going on with the family? What? Because you didn't have to put your client on the stand because they didn't have the evidence against your client. So we didn't get to hear that side of it. So what was that side of it, and why do you think it ended up the way it did in terms of the charges?
So I think what was lost on some of the viewers, understandably so, because they didn't see the pretrial motions, is the state moved to exclude any reference to honor killing. It was not something that was put forth by Fatima. It was something that came up between the adults at the hospital, and it made its way into a police report, and then it went wild from there. When I spoke with her in the defense interview, she said this wasn't an honor killing by my parents. There was no attempt for an arranged marriage. And so, you know, to people who are on the outside looking at this trial and they hear it being described as an honor killing or attempted honor killing, yeah, they have lots of questions. But when the jury, the facts that were presented to the jury by the state moved to exclude any, you know, allegations of an honor killing because it really wasn't rooted in fact. It didn't come from their daughter. The state in its closing said, you know, Mr. Ali did not intend to kill her when he went up there. And it was only at that bus stop that their theory is that during that melee, he formed the intent to kill, and the jury rejected that theory. So was there a trip to Iraq, a one-way ticket to Iraq? Is there more to the story? Because people are trying to, like, you know, jump ahead, say one-way ticket to Iraq. That means you're not coming back. So there was a trip planned to Iraq that day. And what was interesting is that Fatima never told her parents that she didn't want to go. And so, you know, she was struggling in school. There was, you know, controversy at home, her running away. And they said, you know what, let's just take a break. We're going to have you go to Iraq with your mom and your and your brothers and one of your sisters. And Dad's going to stay home. And she didn't tell her parents she didn't want to go. And she decided to run away at 4 o'clock that morning. They went around looking for her. She described her dad walking up to her at the bus stop saying calmly in Arabic, just come home, let's talk, come on, come home. And then the chaos ensued. And so they had traveled to Iraq before. She simply, you know, wished to stay home. And mom and dad weren't comfortable having her stay at home, given kind of the issue she was having, given that dad was working 14 hours a day. And her older sister was in school full time and not around. And so they did not have a return trip planned because they didn't know when they were going to do that, but that wasn't unusual.
So what's the genesis of the conflict in the home? Is it the boyfriend? Is it dating in general? Is it the trip to Iraq? What exactly do you believe led to this conflict where you've got Fatima who's basically running away from home. And could be interpreted in a certain way. You're leaving early in the morning. You don't want to go back.
I mean, there was police contact. You know, some incidents where she was getting in trouble, where the police were being called outside of the home. There was issues with her attending school, and you know, I think rebelling against what her parents wished, and her parents didn't want her dating before she was an adult, and there was conflict there. And so that's why, you know, she was running away. She ran away before this, and the police were involved trying to find her. Isaiah's parents testified, or his dad testified, that they had asked them not to date, in, you know, as the parents respecting the wishes of the Alis, and, you know, kids are going to do what kids are going to do.
So what's your perspective of this? Obviously, you've been an attorney representing many different people, different circumstances, different cases. Is this an example, would you call it an example of our system working or our system not working?
Well, I think the system didn't work in terms of the charging decisions. I think the jury decision absolutely worked. The evidence was that my client arrived after the conflict had started. She went up to her daughter, consoled her daughter, and her daughter said to the police that night, "I don't think mom was trying to hurt me. She was trying to protect me from the chaos." I have never seen an attempted murder case where the victim is saying that the person who's on trial did not intend to actually hurt me. And how those charges ultimately were brought, I disagreed with, and the jury, you know, concluded the state didn't prove its case. The jury was intentional, deliberate, attentive, and I think that they reached the right result in acquitting her of those 4 charges.
Yeah, it's interesting because we have guests on every night, and when this verdict came in, we were all kind of talking and realized we all were on the same place, that, yeah, this jury, they put the time in, but they also ended up, it seems, in the right place in terms of what we saw in the video and what we took from the testimony. Does it end here, like for this family? Is this a family that's going to be involved in the legal process in the future because your daughter's out of the home and everything else that has happened here? Or can they make a break and get back to some sense of normalcy?
I mean, I'd like to think that it's going to reach some level of normalcy. The fact that Fatima is now 18, you know, she can make the decisions for her own. I don't represent Zara in those proceedings, but, you know, I would hope that you know, now that she's been released, she can start the process of putting her life back together.
Well, Tim Leary, we appreciate your time. I know a lot of people want to talk to you, so we appreciate you coming on the day after a big verdict. And have a great day. Thanks so much.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
All right, folks. There we go. We wrap. I mean, you can't criticize that jury. They put like a lot of time into the deliberations, and in the end, based on everything, it seems like they got it right. We just hope that Fatima is safe and getting into a better place in her life, and that the family can put the pieces back together again. All right, when we come back, we've got another story involving an abandoned baby is found. Then in the next county, 4 bodies are found. Now there was a manhunt. We're going to be talking about that. Plus, coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, a husband drove across states for a second chance with his wife, but instead he walked into a hail of bullets. Did Catherine Rastelli lure Matthew to his death with promises of love? Tonight, we investigate.
The Court TV podcast will return.
On Tuesday afternoon, a homeowner in Dyer County called the sheriff's office to report that there was an infant left stranded in a car seat in their yard. The 7-month-old girl was taken to a hospital to be checked out and was found to be uninjured. Then, a few hours later, 4 bodies were found about 45 minutes away in Lake County. They were just identified as the baby's father, 21-year-old Matthew Wilson, and mother, 20-year-old Adriana Williams, as well as the baby's maternal grandmother, 38-year-old Courtney Rose, and her maternal uncle, 15-year-old Braden Williams. Police have not said who found them or how they died.
The investigation, including efforts to identify and apprehend a suspect or suspects, remains active and ongoing. Local residents are asked to remain vigilant and report any information to local authorities.
That suspect has been identified. It's Autumn Drummond. He was driving a white Audi. And now we've got more information. That vehicle has been found. Take a look at this from the city of Jackson, Tennessee. The Jackson Police Department located the vehicle driven by Autumn Drummond in the woods near the end of MCO Road. It appears that he's been living in the vehicle and may be in the area. JPD asked that all people within the immediate area of this alert to lock your doors, stay indoors as we actively search for Drummond. Remember, he is considered armed and extremely dangerous. This is not an exaggeration. They suspect him of killing 4 people already. If you see him, call 911 immediately. Do not approach the suspect. Here's David Roush. He's the director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, TBI. Let's listen.
He is considered armed and dangerous. This is why we're advising the public not to engage with him, to call us if you see him, if you have information about his whereabouts, to reach out through the 1-800-TBI Find line. We have also, in conjunction with the U.S. Marshals, put a $15,000 reward for information leading to his arrest and conviction. So what you're asking is what, when I mentioned a sign of compassion from the suspect, yes. So yes, they brought attention when they dropped the child off, brought attention. There were people nearby, and so brought attention to those people to come and get the child. There was a familial relationship between the suspect and the family.
So now we're getting a little more information about this suspect. So number one, wanted to make sure the baby was okay, showed a level of compassion, at least for the child, perhaps not for the 4 dead people left behind, but got the attention of people before he took off in that white Audi. The Audi's been found, he has not. So what exactly is his connection to the victims here, the familial connection? Take a look at this. We found this on Facebook. A family member of the victims posted this. Courtney Rose, my husband and Caitlin are siblings. Adriana and Braden are our niece and nephew. Autumn Drummond was Caitlin's boyfriend at one time. Yes, he was close to our family. Yes, we cared about him and thought he cared about us. He has literally been nothing short of amazing to us and our kids every time he's been around us up until this point. He's been amazing to our niece, Caitlin's daughter. We never expected him to cause any harm to anyone, much less in our family. Adds another level of why to all of this, if in fact he's the one responsible. Let's bring in our think tank tonight. Joining us, criminal defense attorney Josh Colesrud is with us, trial attorney and author Jeffrey B. Simon, and attorney Dwight Williams. Great to have everyone here. Josh, what are your thoughts here about the connection between the man who's on the run, the man who's wanted, and the victims in this case?
Well, I'm glad that they found a connection, because that tells us a little bit more of a possible motive. One thing I'd like to note is that because there are 4 victims here, 4 murdered victims, that does make Mr. Drummond eligible for the death penalty in Tennessee. One thing I'm interested in is also what type of forensic evidence do they have? Because if he has some type of familial relationship, he's going to have his DNA all over the place anyway. So I'm kind of expecting that his DNA was probably found in, some blood or under their fingernails to show some type of, defensive struggle. So there's still a lot to learn here. We don't even know the manner of death yet. The detectives and the police department are doing a great job at keeping these facts, close to the vest, which they need to do in order before they catch him.
Yeah, and Jeffrey, talking about manner of death here, it's got to be in a way where he can control 4 people. I mean, there's only one of him, 4 victims, 3 of them adults. They're young adults, but adults nonetheless, and another 15-year-old without harming the baby. You put that together, and you're wondering how exactly did this all go down, and that's going to be a big part of the investigation.
Right. I mean, to simply murder 4 people takes an enormous amount of superior force, whether it's a gun, whether it's a knife and you catch them by surprise and so forth. And so while we don't know the method, I think we know that it was brutal, and it appears that it's personal. And if it's him, of course, he's presumed innocent. But there's going to be a lot of physical evidence, whoever the killer is, that eventually puts that killer at the scene.
Yeah, and you think about it, it's not someone breaking in, right? Someone's breaking in, everyone's going to be at alert. It's going to be more difficult. If it's someone you know, then they may trust him, and it might be in a very, friendly situation until it isn't. Dwight, I want you to take a listen to this, because this is something else people are talking about. This is the district attorney talking more about Austin Drummond.
Austin Drummond was convicted in Madison County several years ago for an aggravated robbery. He was sentenced to the Tennessee Department of Corrections, and he was housed at Northwest Correctional, which is in Tiptonville in Lake County. He completed that sentence. So it's what we call flattening the sentence. So he doesn't actually come out on parole or probation. He's just released because he's done all of his time in prison. While he was in prison, he received other charges. We actually took him to grand jury in Lake County because since it occurred at the prison, then it was in our jurisdiction. He had some drug charges that we indicted him for, and then shortly after that, he actually was charged and indicted in Lake County for attempted first-degree murder, which took place inside the prison. Because he completed his sentence, then that was just like any other sentence that a person on the street would have committed. So what happened is once he was released from the Department of Corrections, the Lake County Sheriff's Department picked him up just as they would anyone else, brought him to the Lake County Jail, and he made bond. So he has been out on bond on those charges when we think that this was allegedly committed.
All right, Dwight, explain to the folks at home why someone who's just served 13 years in prison and is facing attempted murder charges and drug charges is given bond. What's going on in our world?
It's so frustrating, Vinny. I don't understand it. This would be a situation where you would think someone would remain incarcerated, understanding, once again, innocent and so proven guilty with those charges. But given his history, it's just troubling that this man would be out on the street once again if he's the accused. If he's the one who did it, it's just troubling that someone with this criminal past and history would be out there. Now, with that said, it is amazing that the baby was not harmed, that baby was brought to someone's doorstep. It's an incredible aspect of this case. Not, once again, what he did was awful in terms of the other 4 murders. But if it was him, but certainly it's, as the TBI said, it's just an amazing bit of compassion in a very brutal situation that he would do that.
Yeah, if the baby's left there, the baby dies because no one finds the bodies. The only reason they found the bodies is because they found the baby. Obviously, this is a troubling case. We're going to continue to follow every development in it, but troubling because this is a guy with a violent past, does 13 years. While doing the 13 years, an attempted murder, yet we give him bond, we let him out, and now when he gets arrested, he'll be facing attempted murder and 4 first-degree homicide charges. All right, Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, another story we've been covering out of Arkansas, Devil's Den. Parents murdered, now the suspect in custody. We're getting more details about this guy. You won't believe where he got arrested, but it has something to do with what's on top of his head.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Our entire state is grieving for the tragic loss and senseless and horrific crime that's taken place in this area.
One of the worst experiences that certainly I've ever had was making a phone call to the Brink family earlier this week. Nothing like that should ever take place. And for a family to have to go through and deal with that level of tragedy is something that no one should ever experience, and something that we never want to take place in our state. I ask all Arkansans to join me in lifting the Brink family and their two precious daughters up in prayer, and to continue after these next few days to continue to pray for them, because it's a long road ahead and the grieving process has just begun.
This is a tough one for this family. You've got a mom and a dad with their two daughters, and apparently what happened, our understanding of what happened is that mom got the girls out of there. Dad is confronting the killer. Mom gets the daughters to safety and then apparently returns to help dad, and then her life is taken as well. The daughters miraculously survived all of this. But there was an extreme manhunt. There were sketches, presumably from descriptions from the daughters, and they were able to track down the alleged killer. Take a listen to Colonel Mike Hager from the Arkansas State Police.
Although everyone is innocent until proven guilty, we did confirm this morning that our suspect's DNA has been a positive match to the DNA that we suspected to belong to our suspect at the scene. During an interview with investigators, the suspect indicated that he did commit these murders. We executed a search warrant at his residence. There were articles found there that are consistent with being involved in this particular crime, and I will let Major Rhodes speak more of that, or more to those details. We do believe he acted alone. We have absolutely no reason to believe that there's anyone else involved, and we do not anticipate any future arrest or any other arrest beyond this suspect.
As you all know, we responded to a call for service at the state parks. Two young children were found and indicated that something had happened to their parents on the trail. That initial information that came from the kids gave us our first starting point, which was a description of a suspect. There was another witness at the park that we encountered that gave us additional information about the suspect and a particular vehicle that he was seen leaving the park. With that, we took the information, completed and let me kind of, we'll start there. So from there, we had a pretty good description of our suspect. We did our initial release. Other witnesses came forward that were on the trail during the time that the murders occurred that did not see the murders, but brought forth video footage, photographs that they had taken on their day trip to the park. From that, we obtained a photo. We interviewed witnesses and were able to compile a composite sketch of what we believed our suspect looked like. With that, we received dozens and dozens of tips. With the initial vehicle information that we received, it being a black sedan, one of the initial descriptions was that it was sporty. From that, we received well over 5 or 6, maybe close to 10 videos of this particular car from homes and businesses along the routes in and out of the park. So we were able to ascertain a pretty good description of this vehicle. So with that vehicle information, that became critical in identifying our suspect. So with the photos, or the tips that came in with the composite and the photo, as the Colonel said, we received over 500 tips. And initially we were using the names and information to come out to compare with, did they have black vehicles? Did they meet a certain criteria of vehicles? But as we began to hone in on the vehicle, it became clear that it was a Kia Stinger. And we used that information to vet various owners, and our suspect was identified. And with that, we sought him out and we located him at a local barber shop there in Springdale. We took him into custody. And with that, we spoke to him, and he made statements indicating that he had committed these heinous acts.
At the barbershop, right? Trying to change his appearance. So let's bring back in our think tank. Still with us, Josh Colesrud, Jeffrey Simon, Dwight Williams. Jeffrey, looking at this case, I'm so glad to hear that there is an alleged confession, because all through this, I'm thinking, if they catch this guy, are these kids going to have to testify? This gets us a lot closer, even if he goes to trial, that maybe these kids don't have to testify.
Right. As you heard, the police are very confident they've got their man. His DNA at the scene, scores of witnesses putting him there on the trail and his car nearby. It wasn't mentioned, but also the police have talked about the fact that he was found to have defensive wounds consistent with the type of murder that went down in the way that it did. What I'm struck by is whatever his motive was, he didn't try very hard to get away. I mean, sure, he's at a barbershop, I guess, trying to cut his hair and look different, but it's a local barbershop. He's not like Austin Drummond, who we talked about earlier, who's, still on the run, as it were. So it's a very strange and awful thing. But yeah, he didn't try very hard to get away with it.
Scary part here, Dwight, one of the reasons maybe he didn't try to get away is he's a teacher. He's getting ready to go back to work. Like, this guy's bounced around from state to state, gotten in trouble. But you made his way back onto the list to be teaching children. That's kind of chilling.
Very much so. I mean, when you read some of the stories about his prior employment, especially what he did in Oklahoma, it's chilling that he would come anywhere close to having another teaching position in Arkansas. So I think some investigation needs to happen as it relates to that. Certainly, once again, the amazing part of this story, I think, are the parents here. God bless them for pretty much sacrificing likely their lives to save their children's lives. But we really need to investigate and look at why this man is a part of the teaching system.
Yeah. Let's take a listen here to the Colonel again, talking about whether there's any connection or any potential reason why he would choose these victims. Let's listen.
From what we know right now, we have no indication to suggest that the girls were his target. I can tell you that we have no reason to believe that there was any known association between our suspects and our victims. There's nothing to indicate that at all. It appears to be a completely random event. As far as the weapon that was used, it was a knife. Our victims died by stab wounds.
Josh, I think these are the killers that scare society the most. The kind that they're doing this for no reason. Like, we get it, crimes of passion. Sometimes people are fighting over money, over, love triangles, all the wild, ridiculous reasons, but at least there's like something that motivates it and you can kind of understand how it happened. Here, there's nothing you can even do to prevent someone like this. And this guy was inside of classrooms.
Exactly. And I was just thinking about this as I was watching that statement. When I was a prosecutor, I had a similar case involving a random act of violence. And I asked the police officer, the detective in the case, I'm trying to understand why this person is doing this. And he's like, Josh, just stop. He's like, think of yourself when you're most angry. You might throw your watch across the room or slam your hand on a desk. He's like, well, think about how angry you have to be to go up to somebody that you don't know, that you've never met before, and then stab them to death. you can't get in the mind of these people because it's not normal. And that's what makes it so scary, especially when children are involved. And thank God, they weren't injured. And thank God that they were able to help the police do an amazing sketch that ultimately led to his capture. It would have been even more horrible if they never discovered the person who murdered these little girls' parents. So these little girls are heroes, as well as the mother and the father, but particularly the mother, who saved the children and then went back to save her husband and then was murdered for trying to save her husband. This whole incident is, completely abnormal. And I really hope that he gets what he deserves.
Yeah, hopefully he just throws in the towel. He confessed, he got the DNA, he's going nowhere. Big thanks to everyone on this Friday night. Josh Colesrud, Jeffrey Simon, Dwight Williams, appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing you again really, really soon. When we come back, folks, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, police say a family plotted a deadly ambush, tracking every move of a man they once called son and brother. Was Matthew Rastelli the victim of a cold-blooded family murder plot? Tonight, we investigate.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Life in prison for the man convicted of murdering and dismembering Sade Robinson in Wisconsin. It was an emotional day today, the sentencing of Maxwell Anderson. Went on a second date with Sade and murdered and dismembered her. Take a listen to Sheena Scarborough, Sade's mother, extremely emotional today, and then you'll hear from the killer himself.
If you or your devil parents had any type of decency of respect as humans with morals, there's nothing else there's no excuse for what you did to us, what you did to my daughter. My daughter is now protected. You can't hurt her. You can't take advantage of her. But know that you messed with the wrong one. You weren't getting away with this one. And you will be dealt with eternally, like I stated. But Your Honor, Judge, I'm asking that this demon be respectfully returned back to hell as soon as possible.
Your Honor, I took this to trial without ever once trying to make a plea deal of any kind, because I did not commit these crimes. And so I plan to appeal my convictions while I hope and pray that further investigations not only prove my innocence, but find and deliver true justice.
Life in prison. Let's take a look at our screen, folks. We've got a missing child who needs your help. This is Kira Cabral. Kira is missing from Portland, Oregon, just 17 years old. If you see Kira, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Portland Police Department in Oregon. The number is on your screen. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.
There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.